I don't think most business owners are good at goal setting because I don't think that most business owners are good at priorities. There's a significant lack of education about how to actually prioritize before you create your goals.
Welcome to the Growability Podcast, your home for leadership, management, and marketing education, where we teach business and nonprofit leaders how to flourish in life and work. Today's episode shares the fifth step of the Growability model, showing you how to create quarterly, yearly, and 3-year business goals. Here are your hosts, Joshua McLeod and Bernie Anderson.
We're going on to the fifth fundamental. And the fifth fundamental is your taproot or goal setting.
Yeah, goals are huge, Bernie. It's not where you want to go that's really important. What's really important is where you sow. So if I want to have a field of corn, the worst thing that I can do is sit around dreaming about the field of corn. You know, oh my goodness, the corn is going to be so yellow. And oh, the stalks are going to be so great. And I'm going to have the perfect scarecrow. And I'm going to have all the blah, 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 blah. When I say creating goals, I'm not talking about creating dreams. When I say creating goals, I'm asking myself, how many rows of corn am I going to plant? Because I'm not going to reap what I don't sow. So for me, it's not about setting goals that are based on what I expect to yield. It's about setting goals on what I expect to plant. Because if I can look at what it is that I'm going to plant, I'll be able to make some projections on what it is that I'm going to be able to reap. Goal setting is more about thinking through what are the resources that I have available and what is the best thing that I can do with those resources than it is coming up with a dream about how I'm going to be rich and successful. Right. So if our goal is to go and win the game, we're going to have to hit like 6 3-pointers to win the game in the tournament. Okay, well, that's our goal. We're going to hit 6 3-pointers. Well, now I have a goal and people are actually able to jump on board with that goal. So
start taking shots, you know?
Yeah, take the shots.
You're not going to reap what you don't sow. Like,
that's right.
You're not going to make the shot that you don't take. And so really, to me, goal setting is about taking the shot. It's about sowing the seed. Goals are really important. Let me ask you this, Joshua. Why do so many leaders have a difficult time setting goals? Why is it hard for them?
So, Bernie, the reason why leaders have a hard time setting goals is that goals require accountability. Goals are things that we can hold ourselves accountable to, and goals are things that other people can hold us accountable to. So, for example, if I say next quarter, we're going to reach $15,000 of XYZ, now I've got to look at whether or not I actually did what I said I was going to do. And the team is going to be able to look at me and say either, hey, you either did what you said you were going to do or you didn't do what you said that you were going to do. Goals are a way to hold an organization accountable to doing the right things. Goals are a way to look in the mirror at whether or not your dreams are realities or just dreams.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I have a goal of reading 60 books every year. Okay. And I've had that goal for the last 2 years. And I have between now and December 31st to finish these books. That goal has helped me to actually quantify, and whether it's 60 books or 20 books or 5 books, I don't care. But the accountability is really important. And if I set a goal for 60 books, but I only have, like, I've read 5 and it's December, well, maybe I either have the wrong goal or I'm in the wrong job, or, you know, there's something that I need to like readjust here. I think that's where they become really helpful.
It is. So right now I have a goal. I'm trying to get to my ideal weight. So I went to my doctor and my doctor says, hey, you know, average is overweight. So if you want to be average, you're great. But if you want to be the ideal weight, then you should work towards that.
Yeah.
And so when I look at that, I'm like, oh man, okay, well that means for me, I've got to lose about 20 pounds. So losing 20 pounds is like something that if I don't have a goal, there's no chance in the world that I'm going to lose 20 pounds. There's just no way. If I'm not like, I am trying to reach X target weight, it won't plant anything in the back of my head that says, you can't eat that fudge brownie sundae that everybody else is eating, even though you really want that fudge brownie sundae. What a goal does is it holds me accountable to something I'm trying to do for myself. So you're like sitting down and you're like, I can go watch this new Netflix episode, probably not going to benefit my life at all, but it looks really great. But then you're like, no, my goal is I want to read 60 books this year. I think goals allow us to overcome the immediate temptations in front of us. Now, here's the thing. I don't think most business owners are good at goal setting because I don't think that most business owners are good at priorities. There's a significant lack of education about how to actually prioritize before you create your goals.
Where do they start with this? How do business owners even start?
Okay, the first thing, Bernie, that is so fundamental in goal setting is to realize that as a leader of an organization, it is imperative that you set aside time to create goals. There's a great analogy that we use for teaching business owners about the difference between working in a business and working on a business. And the analogy is that of riding a bicycle. So riding a bicycle is very much like running a business. You have to avoid potholes. You have to keep pedaling. You have to steer. It's hard. It really sucks when it rains. You have to avoid moving objects. You have to avoid stationary objects. But here's the thing. The one thing you can't do while riding a bicycle is you can't fix the bicycle. If I am trying to fix my bicycle while riding the bicycle, that is a recipe for disaster. And so many business owners don't take enough time to step off the bike, to sit it over on the side, to look at it. So what we recommend for business owners is if you own a business, if you operate a business, you want to spend at least 20% of your time working on the business or getting off the bike and fixing the bike, even if you spend 80% of your time working in the business. You can't work smarter through the modality of working harder. Right. You have to work smarter by taking some pause on the work and thinking. Thinking time is foundational. It's critical for a business owner. Having time that's set aside to just, hey, I've got to clear my head. I've got to think about this. I've got to create some goals. I've got to look at my priorities is one of the number one ways for a business owner to maximize the potential of their business. Until you can stop the swirl, until you can get off the bike for a second and start working on the bike instead of riding the bike, you're never going to maximize the potential of your organization. One of the things that you do when you're off the bike is you set some goals. So what I like to do when I think about creating goals, I try in my mind to fast forward 20 years ahead and ask the question, if I looked back at a sheet of paper that said for Q1, 2022, this was my main leadership goal. As I thought about all the leadership things that I had to do, this was the one thing that I needed to do in leadership. This is my main marketing goal. As I thought about the main thing that I needed to do in marketing, this is the main thing I need to do. And this is my management goal. This is the one thing in management that as I looked at this thing, this is what I did. So it might be, we need to hire a new warehouse person. We need to close down our St. Louis office, whatever it's going to be. This is the number one thing where 20 years later, I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, we did need a new warehouse person. That was the most important thing that we did. And that's what made it to the goal sheet. If it's not something that you can feel like, yes, this was exactly the most important thing that I could do in the organization, it wasn't the most important thing to do with the organization. Yeah. Oftentimes our goals are, we need a 4%, increase in sales. Mm-hmm. So, but that goal doesn't really, that's a reaping goal. That's not a sowing goal.
So you've got leadership, you've got management, you've got marketing. Of the 10,000 things that are coming at me, I need to actually figure out what is my singular most important leadership issue, singular most important management issue, singular most important marketing issue.
Yes.
Walk us through how to do that.
Okay. In leadership, number one is relationships. Business is all about relationships. Am I doing the right things to make sure that I am protecting and building strong relationships?
Right.
So the first thing every leader needs to consider is relationships. The second thing that every leader needs to consider is opportunities. And the third thing that every leader needs to consider is obstacles. Opportunities are the strengths that we can leverage and the opportunities that we can leverage. Obstacles are the weaknesses that we have to worry about and the threats that we have to worry about. So as a leader, there's three things to think about. What are the relationships we need to invest in? What are the opportunities that we have for growth? What are the obstacles that we have for growth? For management, there's really three primary areas. The first is systems. It's easy to grow healthy things in healthy environments. If I have a really good soil and it's well watered and it's often weeded and it's really beautiful, well, my plants are going to grow. Like the tropics grow great coffee because the environment is great.
That's right.
If you don't have good systems, the only thing that is going to make your organization, thrive is having really good people. The problem with really good people is they like really good systems or they're not going to hang around for very long. The next thing is communication. If there's a breakdown in the organization, the most likely culprit is communication. What needs to be done to improve communication? And then the third is accountability. Nobody likes accountability. If you're a manager that just wants to be a micromanager that's all over people, then nobody likes you. But but accountability is still necessary in an organization. When I think about the big rocks in management, I'm thinking about systems, communication, and accountability.
Yeah. So the same process then. What is the most critical thing that needs to get done this quarter for each of these things?
That's right.
For each of these areas. So
what are the systems? What are the communication? What is the accountability? And I'll have like 30.
Right.
And then I look at that 30 and I say, okay, what's the one thing on here from a management standpoint that must be accomplished for our organization to thrive?
Right.
So then finally you have marketing.
Yeah. Marketing.
So marketing, the three primary areas for marketing are one, culture. Peter Drucker says culture eats strategy for breakfast. And I believe that. I'm a super fan of that. From a marketing standpoint, we've got to look at our own culture because what we do within our own organization is what's going to be spread out. So what do we do for culture? The second thing is a sales funnel. And this, you'll have to wait till the marketing section to get a full unpack of this. And then finally, there is the publicity and the visibility. What are you doing to get in front of people? The whole thing of the best kept secret really means that people don't know how to tell their story. Well, we're just the best kept secret ever. Well, go tell your story.
Stop.
Stop being a secret and get out there and get in front of people. So in marketing, the three big rocks, I've got work culture, sales funnel, and then publicity and visibility.
Yeah. So we've talked, Joshua, this particular exercise, we do this on a kind of a quarterly basis. What about those larger goals that there's no way I'm going to be able to get this done in this quarter? It's maybe a year goal or a 5-year goal or a 10-year goal. How do we set those longer term goals that aren't in this quarterly process? Yeah.
So at Growability, we recommend 3 different timeframes of goals. The first goal is a 20-year goal. This is a big, hairy, audacious goal. This is called a BHAG. So the big question there with your 20-year goals is 20 years from now, where do I want to be? 20 years from now, what is the impact that I want to make? And I want to make this kind of big and hairy. Like this is big, it's hairy, it's audacious. For us, we want to equip 100,000 leaders with the Growability model. So that's a big, hairy, audacious goal. We want to be in 100 cities. We want to have 100 centers. So that's our big, hairy, audacious goal. That's a 2040 goal. And what that does is make sure that you're walking in the right direction. Like that's your north. We may only reach 10,000 leaders. We may only have 2 offices, but it doesn't matter. I've got my big, hairy, audacious goal set. After you set your 20-year goal, the next set of goals that I want to create are 3-year goals. 3-year goals are things that you can achieve within a 3-year time frame. The reason why I don't like 5-year goals and I don't like 10-year goals and 11-year goals or 17-year goals or whatever is nobody has any idea what's actually going to happen in society more than 3 years from now. Like, who knows? The technology moves so fast that whatever goals that I set that are bigger than 3 years aren't going to happen anyway. The technology is going to change. It's like, well, my goal is irrelevant now because we can warp people from A to B, So having a 3-year goal is like technology is not going to move so fast that I can't actually make a good plan that I can actually carry out. So that's kind of a 3-year goal, the reason of a 3-year goal. Now, when you make your 3-year goal, you have kind of, okay, where do we need to be at 1 year? Where do we need to be at 2 years? Where do we need to be at 3 years? Yeah. So you kind of have your 1-year goals that are built into your 3-year goals.
Makes sense.
And then you have your quarterly goals. Your quarterly goals are wrapped into your yearly goal. That's a part of your 3-year goal that's pointed in the direction of your 20-year goal. So that's the way that we do goals at Growability. And I think if you're not already doing goal setting, start there. So,
and as you do that, and what I find with clients that I work with is as you do that each quarter, it becomes a habit.
Yep.
And that habit is actually what ends up creating something really, really beautiful. And it's so good. It's so good. Hey, we want to let you know that you're doing better than you think and you have more potential that you know. And we appreciate you growing with us at Growability.
We'll see you next week. And everybody, hey, join our Facebook group. The Growability Podcast Facebook group is set up. If you want to ask a question there, that's the best place to do it. All right.
Awesome.
Thanks, Bert.
Awesome.
See you next week.
Have a great week.
Thank you for listening to the Growability Podcast. The mission of Growability is to equip leaders to flourish in their life and work by developing vision, rhythm, and community. To discover more ways to flourish in your life and work, visit growability.com and speak with a certified Growability coach. Bernie and Joshua are also available for speaking engagements, workshops, and conferences. Subscribing to this podcast helps Growability equip leaders throughout the world, and we appreciate your support. Please consider sponsoring an episode or sharing with a friend.